Well, I hate to say I told you so, but I'm going to anyway. I just feel a deep sense of sadness and regret actually for what my nation is putting itself through. We now know that from data from America, teen suicide attempts went up during lockdowns. We've seen that so many businesses have been holding out for June 21st, knowing that they're not making enough money at the moment to stay afloat. They're not making enough money at the moment to continue employing their staff, who are funded, let's not forget, by the taxpayer through support programs and all the rest of it, who were holding on for that one date, getting themselves through, borrowing vast sums of money, who are now going to have to face another month of this stuff. And for many of them, that'll be it. They can't do it anymore. And that means that joblessness will go up. We know when jobs aren't there, people die. When employment goes down, there is a link between access to economic opportunities and the well-being of the nation. So all of these things have consequences. And even things like weddings. Being told that you can't sing or dance at a wedding. Despite the fact that the Prime Minister said that the cap on 30 people being able to attend a wedding going on by June 21st. Those who are preparing for what should be the happiest day of their life, with their commitment to this person that they love, you're being told that you cannot dance with your nearest and dearest. I mean, come on. In Britain. And I just think, I fear that this becomes the norm. I fear that we end up doing this every single time there's a bad strain of the flu. We say, right, that's it. We're going to have to lock down. There's a new variant. Every time there's a new variant, viruses mutate. That's normal. Viruses mutate. This happens. We know that this happens. Every single time there's a new variant, we say we do this again. Let's not forget that in March of 2020, we said that there were 3 weeks to flatten the curve. 3 weeks to flatten the curve. That was 15 months ago. Despite the thank God, the lack of deaths and hospitalizations because of taking up that vaccine with gusto, we were freer last summer than this summer. That's cartoon. It's farcical. And I've said, I don't want my tombstone or my nation's tombstone to read that a safe life was lived. Because ultimately, right, nothing in life is totally safe. Can you imagine if the wartime generation, the greatest generation, turned around and they said to their leaders in the armed forces and in the government and elsewhere, they turned around to their leaders and said, well, is it safe? Can we guarantee it's safe? No, of course you couldn't have done that. Of course fighting for freedom and liberty and our fundamental rights from the tyranny of Nazi Germany wasn't safe. But people did it anyway, out of a sense of moral obligation and duty. I just can't, for the life of me, feel comfortable with the direction that this is sending we're in. Where does placing safety and caution above the fundamental rights that our ancestors have fought for and personal responsibility actually take us? I just fear that every 2 minutes the goalpost is going to continue to be moved and we're going to continue to lose hope every single time that there's something that gives the government an excuse to move the damn goalpost. It doesn't end, folks. This does not end until we say it should, until we say it must. And I cannot for the life of me, I really, really can't, feel optimistic about and I know the public are against me on this, large swathes of them are against me on this, but I feel like I have to say it. I can't for the life of me feel comfortable, confident, or anything else about the future of our country if this is how mind-numbingly terrified we obviously are of freedom, essentially, of what 80% of the UK adult population have antibodies now. And yet still, even now, we're saying, no, freedom's too scary. Freedom isn't safe. We're a country that wants the vaccine more than any other in the world. It just beggars belief for me. It really, really does. As I say, I cannot support this. Cannot. And I hope and I pray, I really do, that we eventually decide that actually the things that we once believed in, the things that this country has long stood for, the difference between us and China, that we remember those values that people stood for in our past, our cultural inheritance. Because at the moment, we sure as hell aren't.